Home Secretary confirming that the government is actively considering the use of cruise ships to accommodate asylum seekers. While giving evidence to the Lords Justice and Home Affairs Committee, Suella Braverman confirmed, as well as disused holiday parks and military sites, the use of the vessels also being assessed. She defended to the use of private contractors to find asylum seekers accommodation, with allegations that they were making vast profits from the process. Well, joining us in the studio once more, our Home Affairs and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, thanks for updating us. Not a new idea, not a new suggestion, but it does appear that these proposals are a bit firmer now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been suggested in the past that cruise ships could be one potential option, but the government has never said that it's actively considering using cruise ships until now, in that evidence that Suella Braverman gave to the committee in the House of Lords. And she said there was an urgent need to look for alternative accommodation for asylum seekers. 117,000 people currently having to be accommodated in the asylum system as they're waiting for decisions on their applications. With
a bill, what, 6-7 million a day on hotel accommodation?
Yeah, £3.5 billion is going to be the bill for 22-23. So you can see why just putting them in hotels at a hefty old sum of money every time you're renting a room there, it would be more profitable or preferable even to go
profitable for the hotels, but I mean, serious point. You know, when the unions are saying please try and find some more money for nurses and so on, when that money's going in another area.
Yeah. So one thing they are doing now is looking at accommodation that can house multiple people, but not at the sort of rates that a hotel would charge. So that might be the likes of holiday parks. It might also be military bases. But in this exchange, this is Suella Braverman confirming as well that cruise ships are being considered.
And as you heard from the PM, we will bring forward a range of alternative sites, and they will include disused holiday parks, former student halls are sites. Well, I should say we are looking at those sites. I wouldn't say anything's confirmed yet, but we need to bring forward thousands of places. And when you talk about vessels, I would just say, and all I can say, because we are in discussions with a wide variety of providers, that everything is still on the table.
Well, you raised the figures about the costs with the hotel accommodation, but there's another issue which caused a bit of a ding-dong, and that is the private contractors involved and the money they've been making through all this. Yeah,
there was a few questions that were posed by Baroness Helena Kennedy. She is a well-known human rights lawyer, the lefty lawyer. You might categorise her, as many in the government have done, seen these lawyers as being somewhat frustrating in their efforts to deal with the asylum-seeking crisis. Helena Kennedy was pressing Suella Braverman on the point of using private contractors who are, according to Helena Kennedy, making huge profits in trying to find accommodation for these asylum seekers. This is what Suella Braverman said in response to her.
There is a huge amount of money that is going into accommodating a very large number of asylum seekers.
A lot of profit is made by the private companies that you're using to do that. If you look at Companies House and look at the profits that have been made by those companies, it's quite shocking that the public purse is paying out to private companies and that they're making profit from it. Why aren't you using NGOs, other sorts of bodies that are not going to be profit-making to provide the sort of support that asylum seekers need?
It's not realistic.
Well, what's wrong with local authorities?
We've got, as I said, 100,000 people that we need to house. If you can point me to a charity that can provide 100,000 beds, I'd be very interested. There just isn't one.
A lawyer's question there in that committee, but
I'm not sure they like each other.
No, indeed. And from ships to planes, still no indication when any planes could be taken off for Rwanda. Another acknowledgement that Rwanda policy still won't get off the ground, if you pardon the pun.
Yeah, well, interestingly, when he was asked about it, the Prime Minister did not commit to any plane taking off before the end of the year. There's many people who are supportive of the plan to have people processed in Rwanda. Would like to see just the government getting on with it and at least getting a plane load or two out, so the process has begun in that sense before any appeals can be launched. Whether we are able to get to that stage, I don't know, because crucial to the judgment of the High Court was that any process to remove people to Rwanda should include a proper analysis of whether these individuals are fit and suitable.
Because they decided for eight of those cases weren't actually declared.
And those were the 8 that were considered by the High Court. So that could really in itself mean a very problematic process for the government if it's having to actually, in a great deal of detail, consider the fact before sending them to Rwanda, because at the end of the day, the Rwanda process was supposed to be the processing of them. So if they're having to process them before they process them, it's just adding a bit more delay to this system.
Process within the process that will lead to the process. Excellent. Thank you for explaining that, I think.